What's up, guys? This is Dave from The Disorderly. I'm joined by our good friend Damon Martin of NerdcoreMovement.com. Kind of our go-to, friend, buddy, pal journalist who goes and does a lot of cool stuff. So today we're going to kind of recap Comic-Con down in San Diego the previous weekend. I made it out for one day. So I went Thursday because I have a very, very good friend who helped me out and got us some exhibitor passes for Thursday. So we basically kind of got in I think 7 a.m. We kind of walked around the floor and took a bunch of pictures and kind of saw everything we wanted to see. I went with Ash, naturally. So we kind of did Comic-Con like in a kind of a weird perspective where not a ton of people, and it's just a lot of industry types. Everyone's running around, they're setting up. We kind of ran over and bothered the Funko people as they're screaming and setting up their kind of insane display and things like that. So we kind of did all of our, let's go check this out, let's go check that out, things while we kind of could move around. But we only kind of had one day. So we were only there for Thursday, and we kind of, so I've been kind of keeping up on just videos and blogs and things like that, kind of everything we might have missed, things that fell through the cracks. But, you were there as an actual professional journalist, kind of taking a look at all the panels and doing interviews and everything like that. So, can you kind of give us, what was your kind of
I love Comic-Con. I go every year. This is my 8th year going, so it's always a good time to go. And I have a lot of friends who I pretty much only see when I go to California and go to Comic-Con, so it's kind of like a reunion of all my friends. And it's a really good time, man. Like I said, I call it the happiest place on earth. It's also the most depressing place on earth because when it's all said and done and you have to go home, it's, just a bummer to be done with it all. But yeah, it's a fun time, man. It's a bucket list item for sure for anybody who's ever wanted to go. It's just a blast. I mean, obviously you're tired and exhausted and just, mentally done by the end of the week. But man, it's just a good time to go. And if you're a fan of pop culture in any way, shape, or form, I would highly recommend going at least once in your life.
Yeah, this was kind of my first time. We've lived out in California for a couple of years, but I just haven't made it down. To me, it was just always kind of this thing that, it's like, that's, it's just kind of far enough, just, kind of exclusive enough, just expensive enough. Never thought I'd really get to kind of go and walk the floor and all that good stuff. So it was kind of fun to go do that. And, it's a wild kind of experience because, I'm closer to Los Angeles than I am San Diego. So it's refreshing to kind of be part of that kind of oceanside small town feeling that San Diego kind of has, because Los Angeles is closer to the Tom Hardy Mad Max movie than an actual level, an inhabitable city, So, one thing that people have kind of been addressing, I don't know how you feel about this, but do you think San Diego is kind of too small a town to kind of house this big of an event? Does it need to move to Vegas? Does it need to move up to LA or to Anaheim or something like that?
No, I would cry if this event moved to Vegas. It does not need to go to Vegas. I don't even know where they would have it in Vegas. I mean, you have to understand, this place houses, this event houses between 125 and 150,000 people, between ticketed people and people who just go down there to enjoy all the festivities surrounding Comic-Con, because you don't even really necessarily need a ticket to actually enjoy Comic-Con. You just can't actually go into the panels and go into the convention center. But no, I mean, I spend a lot of time in Vegas covering fights, covering UFC fights, and there's nowhere they could have the event, for one, and two, if they did, they'd have to build something where it's all indoors, because a lot of the stuff that takes place in San Diego at Comic-Con is outdoors. And if you've ever been to Vegas in July, it's about 120 degrees outside. So you're pretty much just inviting somebody to pass out from heat stroke.
All right, we're gonna see a dead stormtrooper on the sidewalk or something.
and then LA. I mean, LA is just too busy. I mean, it's just too busy down there. Traffic is a nightmare. I mean, I just wouldn't want to deal with that. I mean, San Diego really is the perfect spot when you think about location, you think about weather, you think about availability. I mean, they're going to extend the convention center. I believe by 2021, they're going to build another extension onto that to kind of continue to house Comic-Con. And I just don't see a reason for it to go anywhere else. I mean, it's perfect weather. It's good timing of the year. There's a ton of hotels. I mean, obviously, everything could get better. More hotels would be great. Things like that. But overall, it's just a perfect spot, and I hope they never change it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I dig San Diego. You know what I mean? I live in Orange County, so I'm kind of I'm kind of a little bit closer to LA, but I'm somewhere in between. So yeah, I love kind of the small town feel of it. It's people, I don't know, because you're an out of towner, you know what I mean? I just kind of drove down. I paid for parking. That's about it. I didn't have a room. I didn't, that was kind of as far in as I had to go. But what kind of, can you give a ballpark figure of kind of what you spend for hotel and food and Ubers and things like that?
It obviously it all depends. I mean, I go all out when I go to Comic-Con because it's my one vacation of a year. I don't take any other vacations, so I do tend to go a little overboard. But I mean, typically for a hotel for that week, if you stay at a hotel relatively nearby, either right at Comic-Con or within walking distance or within about a mile of where you're going to be at, you're going to spend anywhere from probably around $900 to $2,000 for the week. Now that's assuming you're going for, I go Tuesday through Sunday, which is 5 days. If you go Wednesday through Sunday, it might be a little cheaper, depending on how you do it. But yeah, between $1,000 and $2,000 is probably a good guess. On hotels. As far as Ubers, I mean, really, if you like walking and you don't mind walking a lot, you can get around all week without an Uber. Now, I Ubered quite a bit because a lot of the things I was going to were up in what is called the Gaslamp District, which is where the convention center is in downtown San Diego. And it's a lot of hills, going up and down hills. So, I mean, just for time constraints, I took Ubers to a couple places. And then obviously from the airport. So you might spend, I don't know, $50 or $60 on Ubers. And then food, I mean, obviously, again, it depends on your spending habits. You can eat locally and eat $20 or $30 a day. You could eat out more expensive and you spend $100 a day, or do what I did, which is I got a room with a hotel that had a refrigerator in it, and I was able to go to a local Ralph's, and I dropped like $100 and it fed me for most of the week. So it just depends on what you want to do while you're at Comic-Con. You can make it, the only things you're not going to be able to skimp on are obviously the room. If you want to stay anywhere near the hotel or near the convention center, you're going to pay $1,000 to $2,000. Obviously the flights, if you're flying in, that's never going to be any cheaper. So it really depends. The other things like Ubers and food, that really just depends on your personal preference of how much you want to spend.
Talk a little bit about the panels that you went to, because I know I saw some on your Instagram, but did you do many of the kind of crazy Hall H, the big ones, the Warner Brothers, the things like that? Did you do any of those huge ones?
I did all of them, and I usually do camp out for panels. I am media. I am media at the events, and as media, sometimes you can get passes to certain panels. I've done that in the past, but unfortunately, I don't work for Entertainment Weekly, so I don't get into the Aquaman panel like that. So I do camp out. But here's the thing about the line waiting that a lot of people don't understand. So I was in Hall H all 4 days. I went to Thursday. I saw the Breaking Bad reunion, which was awesome. Just seeing the entire cast here again was really, really cool. I was there Friday for Glass and Halloween, which was awesome. Seeing Jamie Lee Curtis is always cool. I was there Saturday for the Warner Brothers DC panels for Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman, all those. And then I went back on Sunday for Riverdale and the new Mayans MC panel, which is the Sons of Anarchy spinoff. I did wait in line. The line waiting for Friday going into Saturday, which is the big one, Saturday's panels. I had friends who started camping out on Thursday night to get into Saturday. Now that sounds crazy, but here's the thing about it.
It sounds absolutely crazy.
Well, here's the thing. Two things about that. One, when you form a team, like a group, we have a group on Facebook, me and my friends, there's like 30 of us, and what we generally do is we make a spreadsheet and we all take time sharing to camp out and keep the spot. So you're not there for 2 days straight. No one does that. You go there for a few hours, you leave, someone else takes your spot, and you save the spot. Basically, the way it works is one person at Comic-Con accounts for 5 people in line. So you can hold the space. As long as you always have, if you got 25 people, 25 people in your group, there always has to be 5 people in line. So really, you're not there for the entire 2 day stretch. You're just trying to hold the spot so you get a better seat in the convention center when the actual panel begins. But the other thing I would say about all the line waiting, and I understand a lot of people hate it, but here's the other thing you do is you make friends when you're in line. Here's the thing. When I went to Comic-Con 3 years ago, my girlfriend didn't want to go that year, so I went by myself. And so I was looking for a hotel room, and I met some people online who were looking for a roommate. I ended up staying with them at the Hilton Bayfront, which is right next door to the convention center. It's perfect location, best hotel I've ever stayed at. But the cool thing that came from that was I met 3 people in that room who I'm still friends with to this day, we all help each other out. We team up. Like, I'm gonna, I wanted to go to a panel and I didn't want to be by myself, so one of the other, people from my group said, hey, let's go wait together. You sit there and chit chat, you meet people around you. We were in line for the Mayans MC panel on Sunday, and we met some people behind us, and we're just like, oh, yeah, this, and we started talking about different stuff, and you kind of make friends. So the line waiting, as bizarre as it sounds, is kind of like a rite of passage at Comic-Con. It's almost like, it would almost feel weird not to like camp out or like spend time with friends, because you really do have some cool experiences. Like my group on Friday going into Saturday decided suddenly to become the karaoke group, so we all started playing music, and we're doing sing-alongs like Bohemian Rhapsody and all these different songs, and everyone around us was just cracking up at, like, we were singing as a group, like literally like 20 of us just sitting there singing as a group, and it's just fun. I mean, you have to kind of take the snarkiness and like the mean-spiritedness out of it and say, yeah, I'm waiting in line, but why not make the most of it? And then by the time you get in, man, you appreciate it so much more. You're so excited to see what you came there to see, and it's so worthwhile. So yes, in theory, standing in line sucks. I hate it, you hate it, we all hate it. But if you try to make the most out of the experience, especially at Comic-Con, where you're going to be waiting in line for something, whether you're waiting in line for a panel, you're waiting in line to buy an exclusive, you're waiting in line just to get into the convention center, just embrace it and have fun with it as best you can. Because, like I said, I had a blast this year waiting in line with my friends. We started singing and having a good time, and people were looking at us like we're insane, but it was just so much fun. And, I mean, if you look at our group chat on Facebook now, you would see a million posts about us singing and having a good time, and no one even really mentions the panel. It's just a good time kind of hanging out with friends.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds better. Because I was like, I just want to go see the Adult Swim park, the state park that they kind of has set up behind the convention center. And, I think that's basically kind of where a lot of the line standing was happening. Does that sound right? You know what I mean? So, we were, just kind of walking. We took, I don't know which way you were supposed to go, but we went the wrong way. So we ended up walking probably a mile and a half out of the way or something, all the way up to the Adult Swim thing. And you just you're just walking by piles and piles of disheveled people kind of crumpled into the concrete, waiting. And these were not the merry traveler, line standers. These are people in the weird tents and stuff, and they're, wearing tarps on their heads and covering up. I mean, it looked like a FEMA camp or something, you know what I mean? So, a weird experience for me as we just kind of walked by the shuffling masses of people kind of trying to recover and stay out of the sun. But, kind of speaking of the panels, how was some of the stuff that we haven't seen? I think the Wonder Woman footage, there was Predator footage, there was some different things, some additional Aquaman footage. Can you kind of speak on any of the stuff that they haven't kind of posted online yet?
Yeah, so I would say the best thing I saw out of all the different exclusive stuff they showed us was probably the Aquaman footage. Because they showed us almost a second trailer after they showed us the initial debut trailer that went out to the world. At the end of the panel, they showed us another 3 minutes of footage, and it was pretty damn cool. We got to see Jason Momoa in the classic Aquaman outfit with an orange shirt with the green pants, which was just hilarious and yet awesome at the same time. We actually saw Black Manta in action, which was really cool, using his eye beams, shooting out of his eye beams. Looks so much like the comic book character. It was ridiculous, which I love. They're embracing that. They're not changing the character. They gave him that big giant ass helmet.
Right, just a goofy head.
Yeah, they gave it to him. I loved it. I'm just like, you know what? Aquaman is such a ridiculous character. Let's just go all the way.
Just go for it.
So that was really cool. That was definitely the highlight of the footage we got to see, was the Aquaman footage, because they showed us so much more than what they showed in the trailer, and they showed stuff you definitely didn't see in the trailer, like the Black Manta going after Aquaman and Mera and shooting at them. We saw him in action a lot more in the second trailer than we did in the first one that was released. And then obviously the ending, seeing him jump down and land on a rock. He's wearing the orange shirt and the green pants. I nearly jumped out of my seat. I was just like, oh my god, they have embraced the ridiculousness. I love it. So that was cool. So that was a really cool thing. The Wonder Woman footage was very short. It was about 30 seconds because they just started filming about a month ago.
Right.
So all we saw was basically Wonder Woman in a mall, very 80s mall, and she's taking down a couple of criminals, and she has to pull a little girl out of harm's way, and she kind of pulls the girl out of harm's way, chucks her into a giant teddy bear, and then takes down these two criminals with her lasso. But it was cool. Like I said, it was like 30 seconds, but it was just cool to see something different from that movie, and it definitely looked like it was taking place in the 80s, which was interesting. So that was out there. We saw, for the Mayans panel, they actually showed us the first 13 minutes of the debut episode, which was pretty cool. Obviously, very, very Sons of Anarchy-esque, show, which is, kind of, to be said, considering it's a Sons of Anarchy spinoff. But that was also very cool. We saw a lot more exclusive footage of Halloween, which was cool. We actually saw several death sequences of Michael Myers going after people, and I'm not sure at what point in the movie this takes place, but you can see him literally going from house to house, executing people, which was kind of cool. So yeah, that's also one of the biggest benefits of going to Comic-Con is that kind of stuff, the exclusivity. I mean, I remember I went to a Marvel panel, I think 2 years ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago when the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie was coming out, and they showed us exclusive footage that never ever got cut and released to the general public. It's in the movie obviously, but it never got sent out. And then the coolest thing is they had guys come out dressed as the Ravagers and stuff, literally in full outfit. And then Michael, why am I forgetting his name? The guy who plays Yondu, Michael Rooker, came out in full costume. I mean, literally full costume. And then this weekend, Johnny Depp came out dressed as Grindelwald from the Fantastic Beasts movie. The lights drop and there was a big lightning crackle, and then when the lights came back up, there's just Johnny Depp in costume, and he gives this big long speech, and then the lightning cracks again and he disappears. I mean, last year they had Jared Leto. Couldn't make it to Comic-Con because I believe he was on tour with 30 Seconds to Mars. So they actually see during the Blade Runner panel, they had him come out. And you're like, what the hell? What's going on? You find out it's a hologram. It looks so freaking real. It was ridiculous. It was a hologram of Jared Leto. So that's the kind of stuff you see by going to these panels, and you see that exclusive stuff, and you see things you wouldn't be able to see by not being there.
Yeah, I just want to quickly apologize. My pup is screaming at people that are working on construction outside of our apartment, so I apologize. But yeah, did you get to Tasha? Hey, easy. Did you get to see the Venom footage? Did you do that panel?
I did not actually. I cut out after. So I was in Hall H during Friday, which was Glass and Halloween. But after Halloween ended, I got out of there, and I kind of regretted it afterwards. I had plans that night, so I wasn't able to go. But I immediately regretted it because the next panel up was Bumblebee, which I hate the Transformers movies. They're terrible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But Stan Bush, classically of the original Transformers cartoon movie, actually came out and played a live version of You Got the Touch, which would have been amazing. So I missed that, and then Venom was right after that. The Sony thing was right after that. So unfortunately, I missed those because I left. But yeah, I heard it was pretty good. I mean, it's always tough to gauge because they gear these things towards the Comic-Con audience. Like when I saw the first footage of Justice League last year at Comic-Con, I was in that panel. I was like, man, that looks pretty good. Like they kind of made it lighthearted. Then the movie comes out and it sucked ass. So you can't always judge by what's at Comic-Con. It looks amazing, but ultimately you still have to go see it to find out whether or not it's worth anything.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree because kind of what I've heard, both from, folks like, who are on site like IGN and Collider and some of the other sites is that they weren't completely sold on maybe some of the looks of Venom or some of the looks of Bumblebee or what that was even going to be like. But kind of after seeing the secret footage, now they're sold. Now they're huge. They can't wait for it, which is almost, it's a weird bias that I don't completely buy. They kind of believe this, the fabled hidden footage and how crazy this was or crazy or great this is going to be because I saw something exclusive that you didn't see.
I mean, listen, it's just like anything else. It's like being at a concert that, that you got to see and no one else got to see when a band you like played a cover song or, whatever the case may be. I mean, there's always something to be said about being there in the moment. Like I said, I camped out with my friends from Thursday to Saturday, on and off, as I explained earlier, to see the Warner Brothers DC panel. Now, typically Saturday's the biggest day at Comic-Con, so when you go to Hall H on a Saturday, you go in at like 8:30 in the morning, and you'll be there until probably 7 or 8 that night. It's like 12 hours spent in the hall because there's so much to see. This year, there was literally nothing. There was one thing I wanted to see, and that was the Warner Brothers DC panel. But again, there's just something special about being there. You know, it's like being there in person for it, and kind of being part of that experience. And it's something you never forget, because like when movies do come out and you love them and you remember it, then it's kind of cool. You can go back and say, I was there when they first introduced this. I was there when they first announced this. I was there when they showed the first footage. I was there when this, whatever. So there is something special about it.
Any huge kind of things that you loved? Any kind of high points for you? I think I saw you went to Conan one night, right? And
yeah, so I went to Conan the first night I was there for the Breaking Bad reunion. That was very cool. I'd never been. Conan's been at Comic-Con for several years now, but I'd never gone. And then this year they actually introduced media passes, so you could get in as a credential member of the media. You know, you apply, and of course they have to approve you. But I got in as a media member this year, and it was really, really cool just to be there for that. I mean, I don't know if it's something I'd want to do every day, but going there once, it was definitely a cool experience. And I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan, so seeing them there for the reunion was really awesome. That was another highlight for me, was the Breaking Bad panel. It's not like they announced anything or they were there to confirm the show's coming back or something crazy like that. It was just cool to see everybody on stage together. It's been 5 years since the finale, 10 years since the show debuted, and it was just cool. It was just cool to see them all together again. So that was a highlight for me, just because I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan. Obviously, it was also cool on Friday, seeing, there's things that happen at these Comic-Con panels with Q&As and things like that are really cool. Like on Friday during the Halloween panel, Jamie Lee Curtis is a legend. Just seeing her in person, I actually had the pleasure of interviewing her a couple years ago at Comic-Con, which would have never happened if not for Comic-Con. But one of the first question of the panel was a guy who came up and said he had actually been a victim of a home invasion, and he survived because, like, in the moment of fear and like being scared and all this different stuff, he remembered Halloween, like where Jamie Lee Curtis is running away from Michael Myers. Now, that might sound ridiculous, but
he didn't run upstairs, though, did he?
But I don't know. I can't remember the whole story, but the point being is, like, he actually had someone come in his house and tried to kill him. And the reason he was able to kind of stay calm and composed is because he remembered that movie and like what she did to get out of the situation. It just was, you just go to that place in your head to try to calm yourself down. And he thanked her for that, and she came down off stage and hugged him, and like it was a really cool moment. It was like hard to not drop a couple of tears in that moment, like a real victim dealing with something like that. So there's always these special moments. Like there was a cool thing I heard about this year. I didn't get to see it, but I heard about this year about a little girl who showed up to the Arrow panel last year and asked Stephen Amell, the guy who plays Arrow, Oliver Queen, asked him for his necklace. He had an Arrow necklace he had showed off, and she asked him for his necklace. She was going through cancer, like cancer treatments, and she's just like, I don't know if I'll be here next year, but it would mean so much if I could have your necklace as a reminder and just something to inspire me. And of course he gave it to her, and it was a really cool moment. And then she came back this year, and she had the first question of the panel, and she told Stephen Amell that she survived, she's doing better, and she wanted to give him back his necklace. And so he said, well, how about this? I'll take back the necklace, and in exchange, he brought her one of the arrows from the show. Like, he brought her an actual arrow, like a prop from the show, and gave her the full arrow and everything. Is like, glad to know you're doing well. Like, those kind of moments, man, you can't replace them, and you can't, they don't get any better than being there, man. You got to be there in those moments. Like, you can watch them on TV, and you can watch the videos, and it's cool, but being there for those moments, it's pretty ridiculous.
Well, I can't top that story, you know what I mean? So I think that's as good a place to go out on as any. Thank you so much, man, for joining us. And I know you'll be back, hopefully. Who knows? I move every 2 years or something. So hopefully I'll get back down there next year and try to go be a little bit more professional instead of just gawking at crazy toys that I can't buy. So thanks again for coming on, Damon. Follow him on Twitter at Damon Martin. Check out Nerdcore Movement. It's at Nerdcore Move, M-O-V. Is that right? right? MOE. Got it. Follow Damon, follow Nerdcore Movement. You can find us at thedisorderly.com. You can find us Disorderly at Disorderly Media on Twitter, Disorderly ENT on Facebook, and just keep give us a like, give us a subscribe, pass us along, share with your friends. We appreciate it, and thanks so much for listening. Bye.